Hi, you're all very welcome to today's edition of Telco Bits and Bytes Live. This is a series of conversations hosted by VMware that looks at the big issues of the day through the lens of the communications service provider. My name is Cathal Fitzpatrick. I'm Senior Product Marketing Manager at VMware, and I'm sitting in today for our regular host, Nigel Stevenson, who's away on leave. Today we'll be discussing the benefits to communication service providers of working with a broad open ecosystem of vendors to build their radio access networks, or RANs. And I'll be joined today by a number of guests from different companies who will explain how they work together to deliver successful and repeatable outcomes for their customers. Before we get started, just to let you know that if you're watching us live today, you can submit any questions you have on the comment section, and we'll put those questions to our guests. And if you're watching us back later on, you can still add your question, and we will continue to monitor the channel, and we will get back to you with a response as soon as we can. So without further ado, let's meet our guests, starting with Lorcan Burke, Field CTO at VMware. Morning, Lorcan.
Thanks, Cathal.
Yeah. We also have Artur Chmielewski, Head of Sales at RAN vendor IS Wireless. Hi, Artur.
Hello.
And we also have Declan Friel, CTO at Aspire Technology.
Hello. Hi.
You're very welcome, Declan. So let's dive in now and explore how this collaboration between vendors works in practice and how it brings innovation to the RAN. We do need to ask, why should operators use multiple vendors to build their RANs? And are there any practical examples that shows the benefits of this? So we look at how vendors collaborate and solve problems to enable innovation in the challenging RAN environment. Key to all this, of course, is industry standards and how they've opened the RAN to expert developers from different domains. But how does a programmable RAN actually benefit operators? So maybe starting with you, Lorcan, can you tell us the role that VMware plays in the open RAN ecosystem?
Sure, Cathal. So we've been working in the radio domain for quite a few years. I mean, traditionally people would think of VMware and the systems space supporting applications in the IT domain, but we've also been doing a lot of work in core networks, orchestrating virtualized or containerized infrastructure, and then extending that out to the radio infrastructure. So you can view the edge data centers that the radio networks exist on. They are either running cloud or virtualized infrastructure, and then we do lifecycle management for that. We then also do a lot of work around exporting interfaces and enabling different parts of the radio performance information to be shared, and also the control plane using our RAN intelligent controllers. So multi-cloud extension from the core all the way to the RAN, leveraging the same infrastructure we've been using in IT for 25 years, and then having common platforms and open interfaces to allow people to build applications on.
Yeah, you mentioned the RAN intelligent controller, or the RIC, as we refer to it. So how does the RIC actually enable programmability in the RAN?
So, I mean, there's a few things that the RIC enable, and Declan and Artur can speak volumes around this. So we work with the likes of IS Wireless, exposing interfaces to the likes of the scheduler in the near real-time part of the radio. So the bit that does all the digital work and helps define how the user gets better service or gets prioritized service. So we expose an interface there, which is sometimes called the near real-time RIC, confusingly, similar to the non-real-time RIC, which is more the platform we use for automation across a number of radio base stations. So we've been working with IS Wireless. We work with Declan with multiple vendors for many years, many generations of these kind of automation techniques. And the RIC is the latest, more open version of that same set of interfaces, which have evolved from SON from self-organizing networks towards the RAN intelligent control plane. So it allows us to get data out in a way that many people can use SDKs and can develop applications on top of that.
Cool, very good. And so Artur, can you share with us some background on IS Wireless and the work you do with CSPs in the RAN?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you very much. And again, welcome to all listeners. So IS Wireless is the 4G and 5G network provider. We are focusing on the radio part. However, we can provide the whole network from let's say from the RAN up to the core side. So within the radio, we have actually all the components which are needed to set up the network, and this is built in a very unique architecture, which will be discussed maybe later also. Mm-hmm. But even if we can cover the whole infrastructure, so we have our own rig. We decided to cooperate with VMware and to let's say to have the spirit of the ecosystem here, because we believe first of all that we learn from each other. So the ideas from different companies are actually melting together and generating and triggering additional innovation. So we are far away from the motto, we know better. So we would like to listen to the others also. And when we speak about RAN, I mean, RAN is one of the most important part of today's network, and it's becoming even more important in the future because we see what is going on with the traffic volume. And according to the predictions, the traffic volume will grow exponentially until end of the decade, and that will require a completely new way of building RAN, completely new way of reviewing the business cases, the way the business is done. So this is actually where our solution is designed for.
Okay, and what do you see as the big advantages to operators of an open RAN ecosystem?
I think I don't need to convince any of the operators what Open RAN brings. I mean, we are far away from this protective way of building our solution. Yeah? So we are speaking with each other, and you can imagine it generates much more new ideas. So the speed of innovation in that area is simply much faster. And what the operator can benefit out of it, I mean, they don't have to select like today just the solution, one of the very few existing vendors. I mean, you can compose the solution of many different components provided by different companies, and by that you can really get the tailor-made, fulfilling all your requirements with the right cost ratio. And this is what the operators are looking for.
Cool, very good. And Declan, who are Aspire Technology, and how do you work with operators in this space?
Yeah, we as a company, we provide network services, consulting and software solutions to network operators. And really, we would see ourselves as operating as a vendor independent company providing open interoperable systems to network operators. And I suppose building on what the point Artur made, enabling the ecosystem to get the best solutions for operators. So really we'd see ourselves as system integration, looking at it from an end-to-end perspective. Mm-hmm. We come from a background of having radio product R&D and a lot of network optimization and performance improvement services. So really it's about looking at the network and reference architecture and the different components on open interfaces, looking at that end to end and ensuring that provides an optimal high performing base on which new use cases can be built. And I think the RIC is a very good example of how to do this, because it allows specialist companies who have expertise in certain use cases to, whether it's energy efficiency or network performance or building on the history of SON, allows them to a network slicing control and so forth to build specific use cases that extract additional value from the network, which is something that's quite important for operators, I think.
Yeah. So do you see that as the key benefit to a programmable RAN?
Yeah, I think that the programmable part is very important. That allows operators to have specific use cases and specific requirements. They can take advantage of those, and then bringing the different people or the different levels of expertise and companies in the ecosystem together to maximize that opportunity, especially into new areas, new 5G verticals, and enterprise networks. I think it can help a lot with that.
Yeah, cool. So just exploring this use case. So there is a particular example of a solution that VMware, Iris Wireless, and Aspire have developed for operators. So, Declan, can you explain that use case and what it is?
Yeah, sure. So it's basically an IoT industrial IoT manufacturing use case, really built on a 5G network. And really, the perspective we've come from is that having a 5G standalone network is good, but really, as we've been discussing, it's the use cases and the value that you could get from the use cases on top of that network that make a difference. And what we have is something that's leveraging the RAN intelligent controller together with edge computing. So what we have is a 5G IoT camera, which is monitoring a production line. And there's a network slicing RIC application, which is providing a guaranteed quality of service for that camera feed to be able to monitor the production line. So you have an SLA associated with that. And the idea then is that this production line, if there's any defects, those are detected and flagged straight away. And this requires an end-to-end network that comprises of both radio, 5G radio, CU/DU, which is supplied by Iris Wireless, radio from Benetel, Druid providing a UPF or 5G core, Intel Smart Edge compute platform, and then the applications that sit on top of that running in the RIC, as I say. And from a point of view of Aspire, it's really about bringing this together end to end and making sure that the system works and provides a real valuable use case for an enterprise manufacturing environment.
Great. So Lorcan, can you provide any more detail on what VMware implemented as part of the solution?
Yeah, it's a couple of things we've been doing. We have versions of this end-to-end architecture. Say as Declan mentioned, Druid Core. We've been running on Telco Cloud Platform for many years, exposing APIs from Druid into the data plane. The Iris Wireless CU and DU, and then the VMware RIC components interfacing to that, and then the Benetel radios. So what that's allowing us to do is effectively, I think, some of the most flexible partners working together around reassembly of some of these components. So that allows a pretty open innovation capability with something that will scale and actually deploy and give decent performance. So with that, so I've been taking some of that and then engaging enterprise customers, local authority customers, healthcare customers to figure out what they want to do with these types of technologies. So we have some manufacturing research centers that we're engaged in already. We would look to deploy that there. We've got healthcare locations that maybe don't have enough coverage, but maybe we would look to take the same application set and maybe do some neutral host infrastructure and roam other mobile operators onto what effectively is a private 5G network, and then allow connectivity in those cases and in a pretty cost-effective way, where often there is very little connectivity today or connectivity needed in a pretty aggressive manufacturing environment. So we're providing a bit of go-to-market, plus also our cloud platforms and then our RIC interfaces and supporting the application development by the Iris Wireless guys and the Benetel and Aspire folks.
Very good. So Artur, what features of Liquid RAN were demonstrated by this in this use case?
I mean, Liquid RAN is actually in the solution which we are providing because we believe in this liquidity. In this case, obviously, we provided the DU/CU, so we may say looking into tradition, this is like called Node B or G Node B in this case because it's 5G. But I think it's all about the way it was implemented. I mean, it was implemented on the VMware TCP platform, and that's exactly how our software has been developed to allow this kind of multiple different development possibilities. And Lorcan, I mean, you can confirm, or Declan, it was relatively easy actually to implement our solution on top of VMware TCP platform, and then including then integration with VMware RIC. Offers you completely new capability, but you have to always have in mind that, I mean, those capabilities enabled by the RIC have to be supported by the DU/CU. That's why all this fancy stuff like slicing and everything also has to be provided by the underlying, let's say, software platform. And this is what we are delivering here.
great. And so that TCP you referred to, that's Telco Cloud Platform, which is the VMware solution for virtualized and containerized network functions.
Yeah.
So guys, has this actually been demonstrated to any operators?
Yeah. I mean, I could take that if you want, Cathal, and maybe Declan a bit. So we've been working together in various plugfests, right? So a lot of what we've been doing, I would say, over the last couple of years has been working towards this something viable end to end, where we've taken different parts, plugged them together bit by bit, put them on common cloud platforms, and then started the automation so we can scale the cloud native capability of the Liquid RAN, and then getting Declan's brain power and long history of building radio infrastructure and running full networks. How do we get this automated and scaled out and get some useful applications built on top of that? So we've been working in Germany around Plugfest. We've been working in Spain with some of the operators there. We've been working to show this, and it's moving towards live deployment. So we have some quite nice real use cases defined for it, and just keep adding new capabilities to it. And key to it, I think a lot, Declan, has been having interfaces that allow us to expose the flexibility of the underlying Liquid RAN capability.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's, as you say, it's been demonstrated successfully to operators. It's running in the lab, and we've been involved with a number of plugfests. And I think bringing it together end to end with different components and open interface can seem like it would be a challenge. In this case, it's been a very, very smooth transition period to get this all working, and a really positive collaboration, I would say, with all the companies involved, especially VMware and IS Wireless. And I think, as Artur highlighted, this is a successful working system.
And what are the main benefits demonstrated by this for operators? Like, how can they monetize a solution like this?
I would say, maybe if I could just start, I think operators see an opportunity with private networks, and I think industrial applications is one example for private networks, and there are many different use cases for industrial applications that require a high performance, high availability private 5G network. And that this is something that you get with this. Essentially what we have is it's a blueprint or a reference architecture, but it's actually more than that, because it's a real live use case that extracts value for the operator on top of that. So I think that whole area, and I mean, Lorcan touched upon the different enterprise and manufacturing companies that are interested in use cases in this area. So I think it's a good base for that. And that's an opportunity for operators for sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Artur. Sorry.
Yeah, if I may add to that, what Declan said, that's actually very true. So there is a blueprint ready, and with all the capabilities which are available there, programmability. I mean, you can handle many different use cases, because we used to look into the mobile networks from the public network perspective, where this is just one use case actually. When it comes to private networks and industrial networks, then you immediately see that there are many different requirements which you have to fulfill. And actually, this is the solution which is good for, because you can exactly tune the way the network delivers what it's supposed to deliver. Yeah, so Lorcan.
Yeah, and I think there's a few things that you see. These enterprise use cases are often not just private networks; they're private networks that are hosting other mobile operators as well. So it's a shared infrastructure. And they also are operating in a fairly harsh environment, and they have different reporting requirements. So what it helps a little bit with some of the operators is to redevelop some of the software skills, some of the automation skills that they've had for decades, but focus them back on the enterprise and extend capability they're already running in, say, their core networks to support more innovation in their enterprise customer base. So some quite nice acceleration of that kind of, people talk about that, tech code transformation, really good platforms for enabling people to rebuild software development skills and accelerate that infrastructure in an open way.
Yeah, great. So one of the fundamental technologies shown here is RAN slicing. So are there any other use cases for RAN slicing that would be of interest to operators?
Yes, actually, if I may take it, Cathal. Yeah, so 5G slicing or RAN slicing is a very powerful feature, and which offers you a completely new dimension to the network. I mean, another use case which I can imagine is, for example, having a hosting of the same infrastructure, many tenants. And so you can even imagine that you have a network which is built in the enterprise, which is serving the enterprise purposes, at the same time also providing the service for the mobile network operators. Because usually in those areas, I mean, quite often in those areas, there is a problem with coverage, for example. So you can have, with the same infrastructure, you can handle both cases, actually, and all those cases are behaving in the way that like they don't see each other, so they are separated exactly by means of slicing. So it's a really powerful tool.
Very good. So so can other operators see this demonstration?
Absolutely. I mean, we have set this up and have it running live in the Aspire lab. So that's something that can be showcased to other operators for sure, and has been showcased to operators as we discussed earlier. So it's available.
Very good. So an operator can contact us, and we can set up a session for them to visit you in the labs. That's great.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Artur, we also have a solution brief that we're publishing shortly that will explain this. How VMware and Iris Wireless host these type of applications.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope this is not the last solution brief we do together.
No, I think there's lots of angles on this that we can explain. So guys, thank you very much for your time today. If anyone is attending the Fuse event in Madrid next week, VMware will have a stand. So please feel free to come by to visit us, and we can provide more detail then on the solution that we've discussed today. If you have any questions, make sure you drop us. You can drop us a line on LinkedIn, or contact us in any other through your account manager or whatever. So I'd like to thank Artur, Lorcan, and Declan for their time today. It's been really good conversation. So look forward to seeing you in Madrid next week. So thanks to all for attending, and take care. Bye.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.